Okay, well, it's another day. This is how far I got yesterday. Today, hopefully just going to finish this wall. I think I can get this done with half a bag of mortar, but it's gonna be really close. I still have the areas in windows here, but I don't wanna do those until we've painted this window. I wanna paint the window and then install those, because the paint that we're using here is a line paint, and we're using just normal latex paint on the wood portions. I still have to recoat this. That was just one coat, so you can see that it's a little bit see-through. The side pieces and the piece here, this piece here is actually the bottom of the window. I installed this piece and all of these pieces on the same bag of mortar, just to know that they weren't gonna slide down the wall after I left. I just quickly put this support here. So this piece is the trim that goes at the top of the window, and this piece is, you'll flip it over and it'll be the bottom of the window. So it turned out my piece here lines up almost perfectly with the underside of this piece here. So we've got about 10 millimeters here and less than 5 millimeters overlap, I think. So the panels are actually just a little bit more than 500 millimeters. They're more like 510 millimeters, which allows you to cut a little bit off. My measurements were just a teeny bit off there. I'm going to get started mixing up the mortar and getting these pieces installed. I'll start over here, get those pieces installed, and then we'll do the bottom. Okay, it is another day. Today, I hope to finish this wall. I did not have enough mortar to do that last piece down here. I still have to do the cork on the sides of the window here, but I wanted to paint this window first. So what I've done already this morning is I have removed all of the brackets. There's like little lock brackets that are located around the perimeter that hold this window closed. This activates the latch, and then you have multiple places where it pins and holds the window tight. So I've got all those removed. So I'm going to paint the frame at least into this corner here, because the seal seals here, and I don't really want to paint that seal. I'm not planning on painting this frame yet. So I'm gonna paint into the corner here, try to keep it. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and tape that just to give me a little bit of extra protection. I did a little test on the window, just a little light coat, and I couldn't even scrape this off with a metal scraper. Like it's holding on there really good. So I feel pretty confident that that is going to be fine to stick and not give me a problem. But I am going to do a really light coat over the window, and then I'll come back and do the more covering coat. But this will be like a primer coat. Basically, it's not going to cover the window, but I want to get that started. Hopefully I'll have this window painted completely by the end of the day. So I'm going to get started on that. Alrighty, I've got the first coat on, and it's been probably 30-40 minutes, and it's already pretty dry to the touch. I just did like a rough coat. You can see here that it is very see-through, but I just tried to get all the edges nice and covered. I did not tape. I used just the brush. It doesn't like to stick on that first coat, so I just, it's really super thin. So probably in another 30 minutes or so, I think everything will be dry enough. I've still got like a few little puddles here that are a little wet, so I may come back with like a rag and just smooth those out so they'll dry really quick. Then I'll go around, do the edges again, get it all nice and prepped, basically where you don't see it, and then I can get my brackets all bolted back in. I just kind of brush lightly along the top here. I'll do that once everything is complete. That'll probably be the last little section I paint, because I want all this stuff in place just to protect the stone. It's looking good so far. That probably took about, I would say that took 45 minutes or so to paint that. And I still have to do the edges, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here, because this is like silicone, and it's a really large silicone bead. Paint will not stick to silicone, I don't care what you do. So I don't really want to paint that, but I'm not sure what I need to do yet. So I'll think about that. I just tried to get to the edge here and get that done. I'm probably gonna get a really tiny brush and do the details around the hinges because I hate it when people paint the hinges. So I got pretty close on the straight edge here, but it's really difficult to get in there either from behind or right here. It's really difficult to take the actual window, the swinging portion out just by the way they work. But everything looks pretty good so far. So I want to get the second coat done and then we'll go back and do a final coat and do any touch-ups on the trim here. And I still need to do the top part there. So I'll do the final coat and kind of get everything looking nice. All right, it is another day. Got 2 coats of paint on the window. You can see it's still a little bit see-through. So I'm going to do 1 more coat and I believe that will get that finished. I removed this window because when I put the window in, I spray foamed it and the foam got behind the window and it pushed the window out. And so I didn't notice that until I started measuring for the trim. And when I measured for the trim, I had like 2 centimeters here, 3 centimeters there, 4 centimeters here. So there was no way to make trim look right with the window in there kind of, wonky. Also, when you open, it was leaning out at the top actually. So when you open the window, it just swung open. It wouldn't, if you opened it, it wouldn't stay where you wanted it to stay. So I removed that. And so now I'm going to reinstall that today and hopefully get it more square and plumb and level. Hopefully I can keep the spray from getting behind the window because that's what happened is once that foam got out to the front edge, it pushed it. Maybe I just have to really wedge it in there with some wedges and make it to where it can't move at all. I haven't had that problem with other windows, but that one didn't work out so good. I'll get that installed. I'll get this window repainted. I can't wait to have this bedroom done. We're debating on what to do now with the wall and the ceiling. If we want to try just repaint, see how good it looks with the paint, or if we're gonna go ahead and put puts on top of that, and that will give us a nice insulation layer and sound deadening layer. We went with the cork because it's a sound deadening, moisture regulating, and it gives us a texture. But the cork was really, really dark. It was a little too dark, so we thought, well, we'll paint it. And now it looks a little too textured. But I'm gonna continue on getting this squared away and finished. I still haven't put this lower piece in because before I'm put that last piece in, I need to have this ready to put the pieces inside the window, put those pieces on, and possibly some pieces somewhere else in the house. We'll see how that works out. So I've got some caulking to do around the window. I've got some paint work to do around the window. I've got to get this window installed. And also yesterday I did some cleanup work. I got all the stuff that was in the floor and all the scrap pieces and all that stuff kind of out of the way. So I did that when I was pulling the window out there, so I needed to clean that up. So this is the pieces that I have left over, the broken pieces where I didn't get them stuck to the ceiling real well. I thought I might be able to use those, so I didn't throw them away. Piece that was broken from the shipping company. I guess they put a forklift in there and they broke a couple of pieces. I have 2 or 3 pieces like that. Other than that, everything is going well. We're gonna get started on that and see how far we can get. All right, so I'm gonna show you a little trick here to not use tape. Here's a little trick where you can you get those bristles wedged right into the corner. You see how the paint kind of bubbles up there? You just let that ride into the corner. Come back from the other side and you wedge those bristles right into the corner there. Come back the other way, and then you just lightly take it away. And now your edge is nice and clean, no tape marks, because tape bleeds. It never looks good. Even if you do perfect, it will cause problems. So just wanted to show that little trick. All right, guys, well, it's another day, actually probably 2 or 3 days in between, but we have this kitchen wall, both sides of the chimney here, and I just went ahead and put a little bit, it's just the first coat on this wall, just so I could make the corner, and then the other side of the door is done. This wall is pretty much complete. The chimney is complete so that we could literally install cabinets, put the electrical outlets in and get that done. We can install the door and get it trimmed out and looking nice. I have purchased OSB, so we're gonna put a new layer of OSB down, and that will bring the floor up level with this floor. There's a little step down here. It's about 20 millimeters. We have just finished spraying the ceiling in here with lime paint, and we use this electric paint sprayer, and we used the 2.5 millimeter tip, and that seemed to do the best. This was our test spray outs. And even with the 2.5, it was a little bit blotchy just because lime paint is not a smooth viscosity. It has like particles in it, almost like a sandy particle to it. So it does get a little clogged up. So we were having to pull the trigger, kind of work it a little bit, but it worked out okay. So we have the ceiling painted. You can see it's a little blotchy now because it takes a while for it to dry. So as it dries, it becomes much more white. And the blotchy areas also, like you can see some of them, like this one here, that's where I did I went around and just sprayed spots that were discolored and weird, and where the material that I glued them to the ceiling, where it had to kind of ooze through. So I went around and did all the edges. So those already look better, but we've gone over the entire ceiling. So hopefully when it dries, it will look more like, this tile here looks really good. So I know when it dries, it's gonna look even better. We need to install the heater. So we're doing a hot water radiator here. So you can see I have the marks here where I'll put the mounts in. And so what I wanna do is get the mounts in and know how far away from the wall it's gonna be, so that I can put my holes in the floor and have it, before we put the flooring down, that way we can just slide the flooring right over the pipes and make a nice clean cut around the pipes. Just drill a hole, slide the floor down on top of it, and it looks really nice and finished. So that is what I am doing now, and hopefully later in the day, once I get this heater situation set and have the holes drilled, then we can put in the OSB And we can also start putting in the laminate floors. Now we're gonna run the laminate floors this direction, so it will be a nice seam here, and we're gonna carry that hardwood floor all the way in, so it'll be like a seamless floor. So we'll have hardwoods in this room, hardwood here, and then hardwood in the living room. And in the hallway here, right now we're talking about like stained concrete, but possibly tile. So we'll see how that all works out as we get to that point. I'm gonna go ahead and get the holes drilled in the wall, get the mounts installed, and get the holes drilled in the floor, and then we'll be ready for flooring. Alrighty, I have the holes drilled, mounts installed. I haven't tightened them yet. As you can see here, I have the marks on the floor for where the pipes will go through the floor. So I'll need to drill those holes. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up and get them a little bit snug. This little bracket is 6 millimeters, so I may tap them in just a little bit more. The radiator itself is supposed to be 50 to 60 millimeters away from the wall. So I could tap these in just a little bit more, and that'll just give me a little bit more meat in the wall, because what I have right now is 20 millimeters of cork. So really right now only 80 millimeters of the actual anchor is in the wall, and more is better. So especially with a radiator, these things are pretty heavy. I'd say this thing's probably 70 pounds hanging on these two anchors. So these clip onto the bottom, and then this adjusts out so you can level it away from the wall. And also the pipes will also somewhat keep it away from the wall once they're tight and secured. So that looks nice. I'm gonna go ahead and hang it and get it level, and then make sure that I have the correct spots in how far I want it away from the wall. I just wanna hang it, get the face of it level or plumb, and then we'll go from there. All right, it is hanging on the wall. It is level and it is plumb. Now I'm using 18 millimeter copper, but I'm gonna drill this hole. I think my next drill bit size is about 26 millimeters. So I'm gonna drill the hole larger, and that will give me room to move around. And then once everything is installed and tight and secure and no leaks and anything, from the bottom, I can just spray a little expanding foam insulation that will help secure the pipe where it needs to go, but still give me the ability to move slightly up here. So I think that's gonna work out nice. Once the flooring is done, we'll run the pipes back up through the floor and be ready. Okay, I have swept and scraped and mopped the floor. So we should be ready to put down the subfloor. We got up all the little chunks of wall material and finish material. The floor is clean, even though it doesn't look very clean. I'm gonna start bringing the boards in and getting them cut to length and kind of put together. We'll see how all this goes. I have the subfloor installed. This is 15 millimeter OSB, just screwed directly down to the old floor. I did use some shims along the edge here to get the floor as level as I could, as flat as I could. There was some variations in the floor, and especially along this edge was much lower than the rest of the floor. So I had spaced 6 millimeter plywood I laid right along the edge here, and then I had to do a larger piece right here in the entry, because this whole corner was much lower than the rest of the floor. So I just used the 6 millimeter plywood. I put it down, and then I laid the OSB on top of that and screwed right through all of it. It also has construction adhesive under every piece, but I just did like blobs, like 4 blobs in a row just along, just so that it would stick to the floor and fill in gaps. If there are any small gaps, it would help kind of give it some rigidity. We have cleaned all the walls, and I just sprayed a layer of lime paint over every wall, and I did some touch-ups on the ceiling. You can see here where it's blotchy. That's fresh paint, because once you get it wet again, it's like transparent almost. So once that dries, it will be white like the rest of the ceiling. So it's in the process of drying. Now we're about to start putting in the new flooring panels. So this is oak laminate flooring. We're going to run it parallel with the window, and that way when we get here to the doorway, we can stop it right into the kitchen, because the door is going to be on this side of the wall, and you can see how thick this wall is here. The door will be at this corner, so we want to get a piece that goes right inside here, and then we can close the door, and we don't have to worry about getting the floor damaged or getting dust in here. We're going to start laying the floor now. That's exciting.
All right, we've come to the end of this video. In the next video, we're going to finish up the bedroom and then move on into the kitchen and washroom. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.